The standard for me as a 45-year-old on race day in 2028 would be a 3:15, and I believe the qualification window opens mid-September of this year, 2026. And so if I run a marathon late fall 2026, my qualifying standard will be 3:15. That said, with the popularity of the Boston Marathon these days, you're gonna have to run at least 6-7 minutes faster than that, as far as I'm concerned. So I'd be looking at ideally around a 3:07, 3:08. So I started my 2026 season at the Rome Marathon. Flew there. The race was mid-late March. Flew there on the Thursday, arrived on the Friday, had some mild dramas, shall we say, during transit, but got in there on Friday, ran the shakeout run on Saturday, ran the marathon on Sunday, did a bit of a tourist thing on Monday, came home on Tuesday, so it was a very quick turnaround. My goal and how my goal is to run 3:20 or under 3:20, and I felt fit enough to run about a 3:15, but to be cautious, I could target a 3:20 and I could comfortably do that. That said, around 25 kilometers, I have this kind of recurring leg issue that maybe I'll get into at some point, but the leg issue crept up and ended up running about a 3:25, and it was just excruciating pain for the last 15, 17 kilometers of that race. Came home, kind of reassessed, got back into training relatively quickly, and the next marathon on the schedule was the St. Lawrence Marathon, which is a point-to-point course, net slight downhill, known as a super fast course. So again, feeling very optimistic to kind of go under 3:20, hopefully closer to 3:15. And I had a day. Like, that was 5 weeks after the Rome Marathon, and ended up running 3:12, just under 3:12, and super pumped with that. Yes, it's point-to-point, slight net downhill, but we had a stiff headwind for the large majority of it. So it was a headwind the whole way, and you dip in and out of some treat sections. But given that it was a strong headwind and you felt that headwind the whole way, and it was about zero, it felt like -1. It was 1 degree at the start, felt like -1. It was cold all morning, kind of bundled up, but still managed to run just under 3:12. So I was super pumped with that. And so going into Ottawa, the goal is around 3:10, under 3:10, if all things go well, taking learnings from Rome, taking learnings from the St. Lawrence, taking learnings from 20 years running and doing triathlon. And the goal will be 3:10. Now I'm trying to run 3:10, which is what I'll have to run around or slightly quicker later in the year. And I'll be targeting ideally the Niagara Falls Marathon in late October to hit that kind of BQ standard for 2028. But this is kind of a test run, continue to see where I'm at, and then I'll be building into the triathlon season, doing a couple half Ironmans and a full Ironman beginning of August, and then do a full build into the Niagara Falls Marathon. So it's now race week for Ottawa and fully into a bit of a taper. I don't do well with tapers. I prefer high volume. Even leading into the St. Lawrence Marathon the day before the race, I did about an 80 or about a 60-minute ride and a 30-ish minute run off the bike. I do better off of volume, reducing intensity, reducing volume, but not doing a traditional taper and carb load that a lot of runners and triathletes like to do leading into a big goal race. So I'm into my taper, and this week is going to be, I'll be tapering down. Monday, about a 2-hour ride, no run. Yesterday was my last long run, which was about 20 kilometers. And then I went out onto the road yesterday and did about a 50-kilometer ride. And now we're Monday, did a 2-hour ride this morning on the trainer. Relatively easy, kind of moderate pace, high aerobic, high zone 2. But legs feel good, and I'll kind of just taper off that training a bit throughout the week, but train every single day. I need to keep moving, otherwise I'm more susceptible to injury on race day. It's just how I'm built. My physiology is what I've learned over the many years. So that's where it's going to be tapering off the training, a little bit of intensity here and there, just focusing on sleep as best I can, nutrition as best I can, as always, recovery, using all the tools, just making sure the immune system is good, making sure the legs feel good, and go into Sunday feeling as best I can and ready for it. As far as nutrition goes, again, I don't do well with carb loading. I don't even do well with eating a big breakfast on race morning. So I'll have a little something race morning, and then 15 minutes before the race start, I'll have the SIS Beta Fuel Chews, which is 46 grams of carbs. Just take that down, have a sip of water, and then throughout the course of the race, I'll be having a total of 6 SIS Beta Fuel gels, which are each 40 grams of carbs. So that's 240 grams of carbs over 3 and a bit hours. So we're looking at 75-ish grams of carbs an hour, which is about good. And that's what I did at the St. Lawrence Marathon, and it worked flawlessly. I felt like I had energy throughout, easy on the gut. And the Beta Fuel gels are that 1 to 0.8 ratio of maltodextrin to fructose. So easy on the gut, no GI distress, and just nice, good, sustained energy. Don't get sick of the taste of it. I'll carry 4 in a soft flask. Take those 4 down over the first 28 kilometers or so, and then either tuck that flask away somewhere or ditch it at an aid station. I'll have 2 standalone gels in my side pockets of my my running tights, and I'll use those for the remainder. And if I feel I need to top up at aid stations, I might grab a little something, a little electrolyte drink, a little. They give out these little exact bars. I might grab one of those. I don't tend to have much stomach issues at races, which is, knock on wood, a good thing. But then additionally to that, I'll have electrolyte capsules in my pocket that worked out really well again at the St. Lawrence Marathon. Just approach an aid station, take a capsule, grab water, chug it down, try and stay as hydrated as possible. The forecast for Sunday is mid-teens, maybe high teens by the end of the race. And so I'll have to stay on top of hydration. It's one of those temperatures where you might not feel too hot, or you have that intense thirst where you really want to drink, but you have to keep drinking because you are getting dehydrated, whether you know it or not. So just staying on top of the hydration is another huge thing for me. So that's pretty much it. Going for 3:10, going out at 3:10 pace anyways, seeing how long I can hold on, feel good, pick up the pace later in the race. If I'm feeling average, try and hold on to that 3:10 group. And if I'm not feeling good, just, take it easy and back off as needed, and just get through it and learn what I can for later in the year. And I realized that 3 marathons in 3 months, 3 marathons effectively in 2 months, is a lot for the body to kind of recover and go through constantly. And my volume is always relatively high, especially between bike and run. And so that kind of cumulative fatigue, we'll see if I can kind of shake it off and come into this race feeling fit, feeling recovered, feeling energized and motivated to kind of go after this 3:10 goal. And then in the back of my mind, I always have this, unfortunately, this fear that my legs will blow up, which is essentially how it feels. And it actually is rhabdomyolysis, which is extreme breakdown of the muscle tissue, leads to high levels of creatine kinase in the blood, which can be damaging to the kidneys. And I haven't had it too bad in the past, but it is something I've been dealing with for pretty much exactly 17 years now. And it happens, I've slowly learned what's the trigger, but it still happens from time to time. So avoiding that is a big thing, and just kind of pacing and getting through it, feeling good, and living to fight another day, taking learnings, maybe getting a bump in fitness, recovering, and then focusing on triathlon season going forward. So if you're racing Ottawa as well, drop me a comment in the section below if you have any questions about my plan. Let me know what your strategy is, what your goal time is, what you might be nervous about going to this race. Because I think, we all put on a brave face when we're all going through something, and we're all nervous about it. And like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm nervous about every single race, whether it's a sprint triathlon, a marathon, an Ironman, whatever it is, you're nervous. And it's totally normal, and you go through this paranoia kind of feeling during race week of just, you're losing sleep over it. You're thinking about it every day. You're counting down the days. You just want to get it over with. You're questioning why you signed up in the first place, and and everyone goes through it, and then you cross the finish line, you're already thinking about the next one. Quite literally, that's how it goes. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. I can't wait to race in Ottawa, running through Ottawa, running through downtown, through the canal, through Rockcliffe, through the Gatineau and Quebec side, and along the Parkway. It's just a beautiful, beautiful race course to run through. So I can't wait. I hope you can't either. If you have any questions, I'll address them in like a follow-up debrief video after the race is done. All right. Good luck.